Welcome back to another segment of Dishing You Well. As always, I'm glad to have you guys back. I got something special for y'all today. Today, I'm going to be covering one of our takeout favorites, and that's beef and broccoli. I know a lot of people these days aren't making it out to the stores or the restaurants, so I'm going to make it really simple for you to be able to make beef and broccoli at home. And I know a lot of people have tasted beef and broccoli at home from people who've cooked it in their own kitchens, but the difference is I'm going to show you how to make it taste like takeout, and it's going to be super simple. I'm going to eliminate any of your anxiety in the kitchen because I'm going to show you how easy it is to make. Right now I'm just going to basically go over all of the ingredients you'll be needing. So right here I have maybe two. This is actually for 2 adults with leftovers, so if you're cooking for 4, you want to basically double this recipe. So right here I have maybe 2.5 cups of broccoli florets. These are fresh. You can use the frozen, but this recipe I'm going to be using fresh. I also have maybe half a pound or a third of a pound of chopped or sliced into small portions beef. I've used beef flank steak. You can use ribeye. You're also going to need a half of a yellow onion. If you don't have a yellow onion, I would actually prefer a half a cup of green scallions, but today I'm using a yellow onion. You're going to use ginger, 4 cloves of garlic, 1 beef bouillon cube. You're also going to need sesame oil. Shaoxing wine is preferred for this recipe, but I don't have any at the moment, so I'm basically using white cooking wine. So you can use white cooking wine or rice wine. That'll be perfectly fine. You're also going to need soy sauce, oyster sauce. You're going to need a small amount of vegetable oil. You're going to need baking soda, cornstarch, and what I'm making with this is jasmine rice. Jasmine rice goes perfect with beef and broccoli. And that's basically all the ingredients you'll be needing. So right now I'm just going to go into how to get everything prepared. So all right, so the first step in preparing your beef and broccoli is getting your meat velvetized, seasoned, and marinated. So to do so, you want to basically add, and these are 3 ingredients I didn't add into the ingredients list, but it's never too late. You want to add maybe a teaspoon of salt, just maybe a half a teaspoon of salt, because you're going to remember you're going to be adding soy sauce, which has a high amount of sodium. To that, you're going to add some black pepper. That's it. Maybe a quarter of a teaspoon of garlic powder. And to that, you're going to go ahead and add 1 tablespoon of your white wine or your Shaoxing wine. That's enough. 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. Which has a lot of sodium in it, so just be careful with that. And to that mixture, you're going to basically add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. I like to add it to a separate bowl to make sure that it gets distributed right. And you're going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And I like to mix that around to make sure that the baking soda isn't placed on the beef and, you know, uneven. You want to make sure that it's distributed well, so it'll be throughout all of the beef. And then you want to add that to the beef. and a little stubborn, but just make sure that all of that is added, and you want to give that a stir. And if it looks like it's not enough cornstarch, you just go in and add a little bit more. You just want to make sure every bit of the beef is coated with the cornstarch. And this is basically called velvetizing. So you're basically velvetizing the beef. And once that's mixed thoroughly, you're going to go ahead, I'm going to add saran wrap around it. If you don't have saran wrap, you can add aluminum foil. It's perfectly fine. You're going to wrap that, and you're going to place this inside of your fridge for at least 30 minutes. Preferably an hour, but if you're pressed for time, you can leave it there for a half an hour, but at least in half an hour. You're going to leave that in the fridge for at least in half an hour, and when I come back, I'll show you what we'll do next. All right, so while your beef is inside of the fridge tenderizing and velvetizing, we're going to get started on our sauce. So right here, I have 2 cups of water, and to that 2 cups of water, I added the beef bouillon cube, which is basically going to make it beef broth. So we have our beef broth right here, and to that mixture, this is another ingredient I didn't add, but this is real time, real cooking. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of brown sugar. If you don't have brown sugar, you can use white sugar. Give that a little rinse. Don't worry about it not dissolving. It will. And to that mixture, you're going to add a tablespoon of soy sauce. Remember, soy sauce has a high amount of salt in it, so. And to that, you're going to add in your oyster sauce. Oyster sauce has a thick consistency, so if it's not coming out, you want to give it a shake. Of course it's not, right? So you're going to add 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce. Give that a stir. And you want to taste your sauce as you go. If it's not to your liking, you'll know what you need to add, or if you need to loosen it with more water. And to that, you're going to add not a tablespoon, but a teaspoon of your wine. Give that a stir. You want to give it a taste. And upon tasting it, I can tell that I need a little bit more soy sauce and a little bit more oyster sauce. That's about it. Give that a stir. Don't worry about the sugar or the beef broth not dissolving. It will within minutes. Again, you want to give that a taste. And that's perfect. So after that's done, I'm going to show you, you're going to set this to the side. I'm going to show you how to get your broccoli prepared. All right, so another important step I want to add after your sauce is complete, is how to make a slurry. You want to make a slurry to basically thicken the sauce. So making a slurry is pretty simple. You want to add a half a cup of cold water. You want to make sure the water is cold. A half a cup of cold water and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. And you want to give that a mix. You want to mix it till it's basically combined. You won't need it now, you'll need it later on in the dish. So you will have to mix it again when you're ready to add it to the sauce. But for now, just mix it until it's complete. And all this is basically a thickening agent. So whenever you're making a sauce or a gravy and you want to basically monitor and control the thickness of the gravy, you want to make a slurry. So basically, after your slurry is done, you'll set that to the side with the sauce, and then we can go on to getting your broccoli blanched and prepared. All right, so what you want to do next is you want to blanch your broccoli. That's basically giving it like a shock cook, not a thorough cook, but just you're going to shock it, and you want to cook it basically for a few minutes or a minute or so. So what I have here is a boiling pot of water. You want to make sure that your water is boiling. You don't want to put it into warm or water that hasn't come to a complete boil yet. And you also want to have set aside a bowl of ice cold water. You want to set that to the side. And you want to take your broccoli florets and you want to add it to the boiling water. Make sure that it's definitely boiling. And as you can see, you want to make sure you keep the green color of the broccoli. I like my broccoli to have a crunch to it. I really don't like to cook out all the vitamins and vegetables. So you want to keep, and as you can see, your broccoli will begin to have a bright green color to it once it hits the boiling water. So you basically want to keep it in the boiling water for no more than 3 minutes. I like to keep it in there for around 2.5 to 3 minutes. After 2.5 to 3 minutes, you're going to take it out and you're going to place it inside of the bowl of ice cold water. So we're going to let this cook for 2.5 to 3 minutes and I'll come right back. So as you can see, I've let the broccoli blanch for 3 minutes. I took it off of the stove, basically drained all the water off of it, and immediately put it inside of our ice bath. So what that did was it immediately stopped the cooking process. See, if you take the broccoli out of the boiling water and sit it in a drainer, even though it's not on the flame or inside of the boiling water anymore, the cooking process will continue. So that's why it's important to place the broccoli inside of the ice bath immediately. So now that we have that set to the side, we're going to let that broccoli cool off. Once it's cooled off, you'll be able to drain it. You don't have to worry about it continuing to cook because the temperature has already been brought completely down. So once that's set to the side, we're going to get right into getting this beef cooked up and pairing everything together. Alright, so before I go into finishing up this beef and getting the dish complete, I just want to mention this to y'all really quick. This is a must-have and a lifesaver in the kitchen for me at least, and it's a rice maker. And this is by Aroma. Of course, Aroma has not sponsored this video at all, but I really wanted to mention that because it saves a lot of time with making rice. Like a lot of people mention to me they have difficulties with making rice. It always comes out mushy or they don't know how to time it. This will eliminate all of that stress. Trust me. Invest in a rice maker. It's simple. If you add, see, I added 2 cups of rice in here. You want to rinse the rice, of course, thoroughly. And whatever amount of rice you put in, you want to put in double liquid and a half. So I put 2 cups of rice in here. So I basically put 2.5 cups of water in here. And you can even use chicken stock or beef stock, whatever liquid you prefer. It's simple. You just add it, close it. Once you close it, it locks. hit the button, and it's labeled for you. It basically does the job for you. It says right here, white rice. They have a brown rice option. You can steam it or you can keep your rice warm. It either has a daily timer on it. So it says white rice, and it's set. And when it's done, it's going to beep and tell you that the rice is cooked. Perfect rice every time. I just wanted to add that. And believe it or not, the Chinese stores use these. They use the big ones. They use rice makers to keep their rice warm and to make their rice. So I just wanted to mention that to y'all. So I won't hold y'all. Let's just go right into finishing up this beef and getting this dish complete. All right, so right here I have my wok heating up. If you don't have a wok, you can't use a frying pan. It's totally fine. But I have about maybe a half a cup of vegetable oil heating up. You want to make sure that your oil is extremely hot. I have it on a medium heat, but you want to make sure that it's very hot before putting your beef in. So as you can see, this is the beef that we had marinated. It's very important that you marinate and velvetize your beef. That's the problem people have when their beef comes out tough and it doesn't have that smooth texture. That's because they skipped the step of velvetizing and marinating it. So that's a very important step. So now that our oil is heated up, we're going to place it inside of the, you want to be careful with this too. You want to place it inside of the oil. Be careful. And you want to move it around. The beef is cut pretty thin, so it'll cook up in no time. And as you can see, it's already browning, but it also has a coating to it, and that's from velvetizing it. It basically has a seal around it, and that's going to keep the moisture of the beef inside of the meat. So what I'll do is, you can actually add I have the onions, the ginger, and the garlic sliced up right here. You can add it first before you put the beef in, but I'm going to do it now. Just move the beef over. Add the onions, ginger, and garlic. As I said, the beef cooks up really fast, so you want to make sure that you get the vegetables in there. My flame is my heat is a bit low, so I'm going to turn it up just a little bit to make sure that the onions and the garlic and the ginger gets caramelized. You don't want to cook it to burn it, because as you know, garlic cooks really fast and it burns quick. So you basically want to caramelize it and get it all mixed in. I'm going to let that cook for around maybe 5 minutes. I'm going to come back and I'll show you our next step. Alright, so our beef, onions, garlic, and ginger has cooked down. You don't want to burn the garlic, so we're going to start adding our sauce. You want to add it slowly because you want to be able to control how much sauce you end up having, depending on how saucy you like it. So you want to add in a little at a time. You might not need the whole, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to need the whole 2 cups or so of sauce. So you want to add it slowly. And it's not going to thicken up to the consistency you want yet. But you don't have to worry about that because we have our slurry set aside to help with the thickening. I'm going to add a little more. We're going to let that come to a boil, to a roaring boil actually. And when I come back, I'm going to show you how to get the sauce thickened, finished, and how we're going to add the broccoli. Alright, so our sauce has come back to a boil. But as you can see, it's still pretty thin. So that's where we're going to go in and grab our slurry. As I said, you'll have to mix the slurry again when you're ready to add it, because as you can see, the starch has sunken to the bottom. So you want to give that a stir to recombine it. And now we're going to start to thicken our sauce up. Add it slowly because you want to be able to control how thick your sauce gets. So you don't want to add the whole mixture all at once. So you want to add that. Let it continue to boil. And now you're going to go in with your sesame oil. Your sesame oil has a lot of flavor to it, so you don't need a lot. A little goes a long way. So that's all you'll need for your sesame oil. And as you can see, the sauce is starting to thicken. I think I want it a little bit thicker. So we're going to add a little bit more slurry to the mixture. Let that cook for a few minutes. We're going to let that cook for a few more minutes, let it thicken. When I come back, we'll add in the broccoli. All right, so our sauce has thickened to the consistency we like. So we're pretty much ready to add in our broccoli. You want to taste it along the way. I've tasted it and it's perfect. So the aroma in here is unbelievable. So right now I'm just going to add in our broccoli first. Remember, we blanched them and we stopped the cooking process, so they still have their bright red color, their bright green color, as you can see. That's what you want. I don't like my broccoli mushy. That's why I like to add my broccoli in just blanched, not all the way cooked, but blanched. I like to add it in towards the end. Actually, you don't even have to actually add your broccoli. You could have actually cooked this for maybe 5 to 6 minutes, blanched it, which would have been almost a full cook. Set it to the side and then serve your beef and broccoli over the broccoli and the white rice. So some people don't like it mixed, but for this video's purpose, I'm going to actually mix it. So you're going to go in, add your broccoli, and toss it. Once the broccoli hits the mixture, it's actually going to start to cook a little bit more. So depending on how tender you like it, depends on how long you'll keep it in here. If you like it at just this consistency, you want to just toss it around for a minute or so and you want to take it out. But I wanted to cook in this mixture for maybe 3 minutes so the broccoli can soften up just a little bit more. It'll still have its crunch, but it'll soften up just a little bit more, and the broccoli will absorb all of the flavor. So after about 3 minutes, you're pretty much done. Your beef and broccoli is pretty much done. When I come back, I'll show you how to plate it over the jasmine rice, and we'll go from there. So there you have it. Delicious, tender beef and broccoli, the authentic takeout style. Delicious and super easy to make as usual. I want to thank y'all again for spending time with me in my kitchen. I want y'all to drop down in the comments. Give me some suggestions. Let me know how you make your beef and broccoli. Let me know what y'all want to see me do next. I'm always here for feedback. And again, I want to thank y'all for spending this time with me, and I'm dishing you well.